Ananda here, peaceful living in chaotic times. This channel is everything to do with sovereignty, and that's spiritual sovereignty and sovereignty within the law. So I want to go ahead and share with you some of the excerpts from an example repudiation document. If you're not familiar with what a repudiation is, it's where one declares and decrees that they are a true American and a non-corporate citizen. So this is an affidavit of truth, which anyone can submit to the federal Secretary of State or any public agencies that you want to let know. You're putting them on notice that you declare and decree your status, your standing, and who you are. So, yes, we are non corporate entities. We are the living. We are not dead, lost at sea. So, let's see. In this repudiation, it speaks about unlawful conversion. Unlawful conversion of our identities and our assets has been the entire aim of the territorial United States / municipal United States tag team. We have had the British enemy pretending to be our friend on one side and the out of control Vatican thugs on the other, conspiring together against us, we the people, and against virtually everyone else's lawful form of government. Two, because the same evils have been visited on many other countries, including most of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, India, Canada, Mexico, and the list goes on. Let's continue. Unlawful conversion of our trade names, redefining them as foreign situs trusts. Let me say that in a different way. This is our family name. When little baby you was born, your mom or your dad gave you your name, oftentimes a first name and a middle name. So it could be John Henry. And then for your last name, that's your family name, and that could be Doe. So you would be known as John Henry of the house and lineage of those known as Doe. But what's happened, so they've taken our family names and they've redefined them as foreign situs trusts. That was done through your mom's signature on the birth certificate. So they take your family name, they convert it into the all caps name, and that is actually a foreign situs trust. So that was an unlawful conversion because there was not full disclosure that that's what was happening when your mom signed. Let's continue. Unlawful conversion of our American state national standing to that of mere U.S. corporate citizens. So, yes, we are what is deemed to be state nationals, meaning each state is like its own little country. And we, being born on the land known as whatever state you were born in, born on, born unto, is where you would have your allegiance. So, in I'm a blood-born Washingtonian, so my allegiance would be to my homeland, which is Washington. And that's the way that our true America Republic was set up, is that we are to be recognized as true Americans and not corporate citizens. So if you go back to the Foreign Situs Trust, where the trade name was redefined as the Foreign Situs Trust, that trade name, your family name, goes along with, coincides with the American state national standing, because we are standing firmly on the land here in America. We are the supreme law of the land. And what happened when they turned it into the all caps name and turned it into a corporate US citizen, just know that whenever you see your name in all caps, that's a corporation, a corpse oration, or otherwise known as a dead entity, otherwise known as a US citizen. And I know it's disgusting and shocking, but it's true. It's absolutely true. So if you identify as the all caps name on the birth certificate, then you might accidentally be putting yourself under a foreign jurisdiction, and you're no longer have the protection of the trust known as the Constitution for the United States of America, of the people, by the people, for the people. It is not a corporate trust, because even the term corporate trust is an oxymoron. So you're either dealing in trust or you're dealing in commerce, which is corporate. That's a corporate US citizen. Let's keep going. The unlawful conversion of our land patents to titles and leases held under the color of law. So back in the day, we honored treaty law and we had grants. So land would be granted and passed down to heirs or beneficiaries. And that's us, that's we the people. But sadly, those land patents were converted into titles, and now we're seen to be, depending on the state where you live in, you could be seen as a tenant in common, if you will. But if you're a tenant, that means that you're renting. So, how can we be a tenant that's renting the land that we own? So, the swindle comes in where the collective agreement is in the belief that we actually own our land and property. But if we are paying taxes into the foreign corporation, then they're holding superior title. They actually claim that, to be holding superior title of our land and our property. So, what to do? There are solutions available, of course, and I want to encourage you to visit americansinaction.info, and you can learn. I believe it's under educational tools. There's the Ron Gibson land patent book, and it shares with you all about it. And he is a wealth of knowledge. Also on the website, if you go and visit Hidden Truth News on americansinaction.info and you scroll down, you'll see an interview with our beloved founder of Americans in Action and Ron Gibson. He's doing an interview that explains all about land patent and alloidial title, and how we actually here in America have the right to own land and property. So it's our birthright. Let's keep going. Unlawful conversion of our land patents to titles and leases held under the color of law. Unlawful conversion of our private property to public assets. Unlawful conversion of our government on the land to a government on the sea. That's where they've converted the constitutional American common law, the supreme law of the land, they've converted it into admiralty law jurisdiction, which is synonymous with commerce. And that's Babylon. It's so wild. You just think of commercial law, anything to do with the public sector, if you will. And it's a little tricky to navigate, but their public sector in the admiralty law jurisdiction is different than the public sector under the original first organic constitution here in America, where public means the body public. That's we the people, when we're out in our public capacity, out in the world. And then, of course, the uh, corporation known as US Inc. or White House Office Inc. and all their subsidiary corporations, meaning the state of Oregon, the state of New York, and so forth and so on. Those all are claiming, um, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Subsidiary corporation, land and government. Oh, the jurisdiction of those are all corporate jurisdictions. So we actually live on the land known as New York State, Washington State. That's the way it used to be. But even now, the corporate powers that want to be the foreign corporation, wants to claim the rights to the name Washington State and also the state of Washington, whose situs is Washington, D.C. We can go into that in another video, but hopefully you're up to speed a little bit on some of this so you're able to track with me. Unlawful conversion of our government on the land to a government on the sea. Unlawful conversion of the copyrights and trademarks we are owed. Unlawful conversion of our private bank accounts into public personal accounts. Unlawful conversion of our state to state of states and state of states. That's what I was just talking about. So whenever you see the state of, and then fill in the blank on the name of the state, that's a corporation. That's a foreign jurisdiction to our true republic. Unlawful conversion of our public courts into private corporate tribunals. This one is really important. So when you think of the lower courts, those are actually private courts. They're private for-profit courts. They're not true common law, constitutional common law, which is what we're supposed to be under here in our Republican form of government. When I say Republican, I'm not talking about a political party. I'm talking about the fact that we are a republic. We are not a democracy. And that's a common hiccup that people run into. Oh, because we believe in democracy and they're a threat to our democracy and all that. We're not a democracy. We are a republic, and a republic is where individual rights are upheld, they're acknowledged and upheld. In democracy, it's more of a majority rule or mob rule. Even if there's a lie that's being presented, if the majority of the people agree with the lie, then they're the lie stands. In a republic, you can be the minority and uphold the truth. And it doesn't matter if the collective wants to uphold a massive lie. They can't in a republic because in a republic, truth is sovereign. It's it's the be all. It's the all in all. It's above, it's superior law. It is higher law. And it's the truth that shall set us free. So we've been told that we're free Americans here. We've been sold the lie that we're free. Meanwhile, the corporate powers that want to be have infiltrated and tried to get us to believe that we're free. Meanwhile, participating in not a free system, it's a pay to play system. Pretty wild. Unlawful conversion of private civilian assets to public trust assets, unlawful conversion of American common law to admiralty law, unlawful conversion of public records to private registrations, unlawful conversion of our right to elect to mere voting privileges, unlawful conversion of commonly used words such as person, public, constitution, and so on to mean something other than their original meanings. In other words, language fraud. So a person prior to the 14th Amendment used to mean people. So you had the right to protect your person and your property. After the 14th Amendment came into play, they converted all persons into citizens. And then if you look further at the word citizen, if you look it up in the US codes, you'll see that it translates to the word corporation. So they've taken the living man, the living woman, the spirit-filled, created by God, free, vibrant life, man or woman, and converted them into, with a sleight of hand, with their language fraud, converted them into chattel property because those US citizens, those corporate citizens, can be traded through their CUSIP number, which you can find on the birth certificate, can be traded on the stock market and through securities exchanges. It's pretty wild, but that's another deep dive. There's so much conversion of what happened. Um, there's so many parts to the puzzle. So what I'm trying to do here on this channel, I'm not trying to do it, I am doing it. It's connecting the dots. So the more that you listen to these connect the dots series that I'm creating, the more things are going to click and you're going to be able to be tracking with me. I hope and pray. So be it. The sheer scale of this sly, secretive crime spree all across the globe is staggering, especially when one considers that it has all taken place under countless lies, like a banner of freedom and progress, while in fact delivering a form of modern feudalism instead. And there's more. I believe the original of this repudiation that I am reading from about unlawful conversion, the original, I believe, but I'm not certain, was in a book called Fruit from a Poisonous Tree by Mel Stamper. And you can get a free download of Fruit from a Poisonous Tree online by just doing an internet search, and the free PDF should pop up. So feel free to read through there. There's a world of knowledge, a wealth of knowledge, and I believe that the original repudiation um, that this I'm reading from, this was either taken word for word from it or was inspired by that book. So definitely want to give a shout out to Melvin Stamper, who did extensive research on the unlawful conversion that took place here in America and around the world. All right, well, that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson and the wisdom that comes forth so that you have more tools in your tool belt to remain empowered and sovereign. And remember, we are a godly people in a godly nation, and we are under a sovereign God, and true sovereignty is respected in the law. Even the UN recognizes sovereign status. So I bless you on your journey. May you remember who you are in the fullness of how God created you. May you see yourself in the eyes of God as God sees you in unconditional love. I love you. God bless you. And signing off for now.